welcome back to Lex Alexas. Today we're going to carry on with the Transfer Show series we are back with Transfer Tuesday. We have got quite a few transfers we need to be going on about. This is approaching the final couple of weeks of the transfer window, and I think we are going to start seeing more frequent signings as we're going to see all 24 championship clubs trying to tinker their squads to the best version of their squads as possible to help them cope with a 46 game season. We had a bit of a tease of how each team is getting on with the games that took place a couple of days ago now. I will give my reaction when I go through my score predictions. I didn't actually do a review video, but if that's something you do want to see, please let me know in the comments and I will turn that into a frequent series to the best that I can. But today we're focusing on the latest transfers and some rumours which have started to really speculate as well. The viewer getting the shout out today is Mike Newell. Thank you, Mike, for subscribing to the channel. It is terrifically appreciated. If anyone new does subscribe to the channel, it is a good chance that your name could be read out in next video. If you guys can also like the video too, it really does help. If you can go for 30 likes today, that'd be absolutely amazing. And please also share the channel too. All three of these things are free to do and it really helps. But without any further ado, let's begin show 8 of Transfer Tuesday. Okay, so we're going to start off with Birmingham. I think it's quite rare that we don't talk about Birmingham these days in our transfer shows now. Marvin Duksch had come in as a transfer, actually announced, I believe, on the Friday, or I think it was the Thursday or the Friday. It was very close to their opening game of the season against Ipswich. He didn't play, but he was available at St Andrews to wave to the fans. So maybe Ipswich could count themselves a little bit lucky that Marvin Duksch wasn't on the pitch, because his goal record actually with Werder Bremen, whether they were in the first division or the second division, looks quite good actually. So I think this could be another potentially exciting signing again for Birmingham's point of view. So their squad is just looking absolutely stacked when it comes to quality at this moment of time. Blackburn, they've actually made 2 ingoings since my last transfer video. Axel Henriksen, who did play for a little bit against West Brom in their most recent game, obviously was on the losing side in the end. 23-year-old central attacking midfielder, which I believe was around the position he played. He definitely played in the midfield position. So he could be a very interesting one. It's another one from the European market, which Blackburn are trying to find these hidden gems within their squad. And another signing, Lewis Miller, a right back from Hibernian, 24 years of age, so a good age, and should actually be starting to get to around his peak performance as well. He has come in as an Australian international, I think, and he has come in actually pretty swiftly after Blackburn themselves have lost another right back, which I will be talking about later in this video. Charlton, they've had 2 outgoings since the last transfer show. Telai Wilson, very recent one. He has left to join Barnsley. The right back has gone there. 28 years of age. And Terry Taylor is another recent one who's also left to join a League One club in Northampton Town. He's 24 years of age, and this one is actually a loan transfer, so he could be one that could potentially feature for Charlton next season, but hopefully he gets some good development time in Northampton. Derby, they've actually been quite busy. They've got 2 ingoings in since the last video. I'm really excited about Dion Sanderson. We've seen him with a plethora of championship clubs in the past. I think most recently Birmingham, Cardiff, we've seen him there in that squad as well. Quite a few, and now Derby are going to reap the benefits of having him in. And I actually think it's a good transfer. It's a loan transfer, which doesn't particularly surprise me. He's not really settled with many other championship clubs for loads of seasons consecutively. And Bobby Clark is another transfer which actually quite interesting. He's from RB Salzburg actually. He's centre midfielder, 20 years of age, another loan transfer. This one could be a potentially exciting one. I hope we do see a good opportunity, because the sort of position of this player and the stats would tell you that actually there could be a lot to come for this player. So yeah, I'm a little bit excited to see how he gets on there for Derby. Hull have been quite busy with their forward positions. So they've got Oliver McBurney, who was heavily rumoured. I don't know if I actually talked about him in my last transfer show because I was so tired. But he has joined Hull from Las Palmas in the Segunda Division there. And Joe Gelhardt, who was a Hull City player last season, who was loaned out from Leeds, he has returned to Hull. So I'm really pleased that Hull have got, in my eyes, a lot more attacking threat now, because one issue I found with them last season, they weren't really scoring enough. And I think adding those two players in, I think is going to definitely help the Jurkovic system. Obviously, Hull were involved in a 0-0 draw in their first game of the season. So I think certainly integrating those players in, I think Oliver McBurney actually played a part in that game. I don't know about Joe Gelhardt though, because I think he was announced quite late in this week. So certainly I think they will be a good couple of additions for Hull. Now, for outgoings for Hull, they have actually outloaned their goalkeeper Harvey Cartwright to Hartlepool. So I think this will be a good experience for him to get some minutes. Ipswich have not been messing around. They drew against Birmingham, probably a bit fortunate for the way they did get that draw. In fact, no, they were definitely fortunate in the way that they got the draw. But their transfer business has really stepped things up. So Jean Cajuste has actually returned. I cannot believe Cajuste has returned, but he has returned to Ipswich. He's going to fare a season in England's second division rather than staying on with Napoli, which is unbelievable. And the big transfer saga, which has proven to be quite dramatic, is Chuba Akpom. Now, I remember, I don't know if it was last video or it was the video before I went on holiday, I said the immortal words that Chuba Akpom looks to be a Birmingham player. I don't know where Ipswich came from, but they snuck in there and Akpom favoured Ipswich despite Birmingham having a more financially better offer for Ajax at the time. But with personal terms, Chuba Akpom is an Ipswich Town player. He would have been very helpful for Ipswich in their game. In fact, probably Cajuste more so, because I think one issue Ipswich are having is their lack of quality in the midfield. I thought Matusiwa, whilst he spread a couple of decent passes, he got absolutely bullied in that midfield physically. Jay Stansfield had him in his pocket for pretty much the whole game. And I think Cajuste coming back is going to help toughen up that midfield a little bit. So I'm really, really pleased that these two players, I think for me, are starting players, and I think they will improve the quality of that Ipswich squad. And it does excite me actually that I believe Ipswich will still be looking into improving their squad. So I'm quite excited to see what happens there. There has been an outgoing though in Ipswich, but it doesn't surprise me. Kieran Slicker has joined Barnet as a goalkeeper there. He wasn't really someone I was a massive fan of, unfortunately, but certainly someone that would add some competition in Barnet's goalkeeping positions. Leicester, they've just been really getting through the outgoings at this moment, and it's two, fan favourites, I would dare say. Wilfred Ndidi, he was, indeed a really good player for Leicester for a good number of years. He's now moved to Besiktas. Only 28 as well, so it's a bit of a shame that he couldn't really stay on for a little bit more. And most recently, Mads Hermansen, who has been Leicester's goalkeeper for a couple of seasons now, kind of taking over from Danny Ward, and I think has been the best goalkeeper since they've departed with Kasper Schmeichel. He has earned a move to West Ham United. So West Ham, I did kind of get the suspicion with Fabianski leaving that they were going to look for another goalkeeper. So I'm not massively surprised about that transfer there. And I will say with Leicester, they still have two relatively decent goalkeepers at the club. So I don't think this transfer is the end of the world. But certainly I think if they were to get another one of a similar quality, that might make them feel a little bit better. But I think certainly a good money-raising transfer there, so it could allow them to improve more areas of the pitch. Middlesbrough, they've got the Blackburn right-back that was replaced. So Callum Britton has officially left Blackburn to join Middlesbrough. And I've got to say, Blackburn have lost some key personnel, some big first-team players in their squad, and they've had to replace quite strategically as a result of that. So whilst Blackburn have gained Lewis Miller. It has meant that Borough have been able to take Callum Britton. So I'm a big fan of his when he was with Blackburn, and I can imagine in that right back position it will be very, very competitive there. And let's say, the worst case scenario for Middlesbrough, if Van den Berg does leave for a Premier League club or another club elsewhere, I could see Callum Britton sort of deputising that position, because Van den Berg, I see him more as a centre-back, but someone who can play that full-back position as well. So I'm liking the competition that Middlesbrough are starting to build up in their defensive lines. Norwich, they've only had an outgoing, so a pretty quiet week from them. Angus Gunn has left on a free transfer to Nottingham Forest. In terms of, potential players that they really should be going for, I don't see too many glaring positions they need work with, probably apart from just someone to support the forward lines at the moment and potentially trying to get backups in case they still lose first-team players. We still don't know 100% about Sargent. We don't know about any other forward players who could potentially be going as well. So, Norwich are going to be quite proactive still, I say. Oxford, obviously, didn't have a brilliant result in their opening weekend game, but their transfer business has been interesting. So they got one player in, Will Lancashire, from the Spurs youth squad on a loan transfer as a centre forward. So I'm quite pleased that Oxford have got someone else who could potentially step forward for some goal mouth opportunities as well. And this is when I think we are starting to see a lot more of the big six youth players starting to depart for low transfers or even permanent transfers to get some regular first team football, and Will Lancashire is pretty much the first example of those. Outgoings for Oxford, James Golding has left to join Crewe Alexandra in League 2. So I say pretty meaningless one. I wasn't going to see him play a lot for Oxford this season. Portsmouth have made one ingoing, and we're going to talk about the Spurs youth squad again because they've loaned another starlet. Min Hyuk Yang, the 19-year-old winger, has joined Portsmouth on a loan transfer. I'm quite intrigued to see how this one gets on. I do have a Spurs mate and he is a big fan of his. So I think Portsmouth have got a decent player on their hands, a bags full of potential. And speaking of more Spurs youth players, we've got to talk about Preston because they got Alfie Devine. That was the one that actually Spurs fans, to me, reacted the most when they did realise that they were, loaning out their youngsters, because he has made the odd appearance for Spurs. 21 years of age, a centre attacking midfielder. In terms of championship experience, it's very limited. I believe he was at Wigan. He also played a bit for Plymouth as well, and I think he got his minutes at Plymouth. So whilst championship experience is quite limited, there is an abundance and amount of potential, and Spurs fans, I'm sure, will tell you that as well. So pretty exciting transfers going round with a lot of these clubs at this moment of time. But Queen's Park Rangers, they've only had an outgoing in the last week. Alfie Lloyd, the centre forward, has left to join Leyton Orient on a loan transfer. I think certainly Leyton Orient are going to be looking for someone who can apply the amount of goals that Charlie Kelman was doing, because obviously they're not going to have that figurehead at the club anymore. So I think Leyton Orient have done all right to get someone in of that quality, and I've noticed for them they're using Josh Koroma quite a bit to create chances, which I think was a very good bit of savvy business to get in from Huddersfield there. So I think Leyton Orient are doing well for themselves. Where do we begin about Sheffield United? I mean, certainly they put in the embarrassing performance of this week, but probably, and I'll put my hands up now, I am very sorry to every Bristol City fan because I predicted them to finish 15th. I don't think they'll finish 15th based on that performance now. I should have seen their preseason games. I should have seen the development that Gareth Struber has done. And it does remind me of how well Barnsley were playing under Gareth Struber, who was getting them to massively outperform their abilities. So I really, really do see Bristol City being quite an exciting team this year. But anyway, tangent over. In terms of an outgoing for Sheffield United, one of their goalkeepers, Ivo Grbic, has left to join a Turkish team on loan. So not a massive transfer that really affects their starting 11, but one area which I think they certainly need work on is centre-back. They recently lost Ahmed Dezovic, and if they're playing someone like Reece Norrington Davies at centre-back, who's not even a centre-back, they need some centre-backs ASAP. And I think we do talk about a couple of centre-backs in the rumours section. So this could be something that Sheffield United will be wanting to sort of look towards to see if they are targeting any of those types of players. Stoke, I mean, what a start to their season. They had a 3-1 victory, of course, against Derby County. Transfers in. Two very different transfers. So you go for the youngster Jamie Donnelly, another Spurs youth player, a striker, 20 years of age, also on loan. I am quite intrigued to see how he gets on. I think Stoke already have got Mbamba as well from Manchester City as well. So I'm liking that Stoke are trying to build an exciting attack based on young, hungry players wanting first team football. And one for the throwbacks, Steven Nzonzi has actually returned to Stoke. I did not think in 2025 I would say Steven Nzonzi is a Stoke City player. We need the likes of Arnautovic back. We need Charlie Adam back. We need Shaqiri back as well. Just to give me the memories of seeing Stoke as a comfy mid-table side. So it does give me back some memories. I mean, he's 36, so I don't see him having a lot of years left in the tank, but he will be so crucial for the experience. And if he did join Stoke at this time, he's probably seen something that actually he could be involved in terms of what he's doing. So I'm actually quite excited to see how he gets on. Swansea have been a little bit busy, but they're getting players in positions which I actually don't think should be their priority at this moment. So they've got Caelan Casey, 20 years old from West Ham, a loan transfer, but he's a centre-back. I think that could be a good signing, a good defensive option, but based on how little chances they created against Middlesbrough last game, I think they need a striker. I really do think they need a forward that will challenge that Swansea forward line to, I think I need someone in that Swansea squad who can get 15 goals. And Paul Farman has come in as a goalkeeper from Barrow. To me, I don't think that really affects Swansea at the moment. I mean, it improves their depth, and that is a positive. But what I will say, I think Swansea really should be looking for trying to get a striker in, or just some forward that will give them a lot more threat going forward. Watford, they've made one transfer since last video. Max Alleyne from the Manchester City youth team this time. 20 years old and a centre-back too, also on loan. Watford, to me, at this moment, obviously they were involved in that narrow defeat against Charlton. Good depth to get someone in like Alleyne, but again, I think this is just going to be a squad that's just going to take time. They've got a new manager in Pezzolano. They've got lots of new players in that squad. Give it time, and I think we will start seeing the best of Watford. But I am intrigued to see how this signing goes. There's also now going with Watford as well, João Ferreira, so very experienced Watford player. He has left to join Saint Etienne of the French league. I think they're still Liga from what I know. And then with a couple of other clubs left, West Brom, we've recently got the news of Carl Bartley retiring at the age of 34. To me, that seems a little bit young for Bartley, but whether it's injuries or whether just not being able to find a club or not wanting to find another club, Carl Bartley is officially retired from football, and he certainly has been a really good servant for West Brom, so they'll certainly hold him up in high regards of what he's done in his career. And finally, we're going to talk about Wrexham. We are talking about two ingoings from Wrexham. Now, I missed one last video. Lewis O'Brien is a Wrexham player and was heavily involved in Wrexham's game against Southampton a couple of days ago. And the big one, quite literally a big signing that they've got, is Kiefer Moore. Obviously, he won the penalty for Wrexham last game too. I think they will be good players. Kiefer Moore could have an injury. I don't know how long term it's going to be, but they still, to me, have actually signed some really well experienced players, which I think will give Wrexham a good fighting chance of getting a really, really good crack at the Championship. So those are all for transfers. If I've missed any, please let me know in the comments. Now let's go through the latest rumours. So a deal which I think could be happening by the time this video comes out is Richard Kone. There has been some speculation of some other clubs being linked, including a club like Swansea, who I've said they needed a striker, but he's not going to Swansea. What I've been told, Queen's Park Rangers is the club looking like that they're going to get him in. A fee has been agreed with Wycombe, and to me that is a big blow for Wycombe, but an amazing signing for Queen's Park Rangers. You just think of that forward line of Dembele, Chair, Poku and Kone. Oh my gosh, they could be so much fun going forward, Queen's Park Rangers this season. So I'm very excited about this one, and I think the fee will be undisclosed, but the fact that something has been agreed between a Championship club and Wycombe, it does feel to me it's a little bit of a matter of time before Kone makes that move. Hull City have been linked with two of their players with other deals. So Gustavo Puerta, without a doubt, one of the most exciting players of their squads. Originally loaned from Leverkusen, but Hull have triggered something in his contract to try and make that deal permanent. However, of course, they've been placed with some restrictions now, and they are probably going to go into a situation where they want to raise money. Now, a La Liga club has gone for Puerta on a 6 million bid, it's reported, and Hull have not deemed that to be strong enough. So it is showing that there is significant interest there in Puerta. Whether he can survive that and stay around, it will remain to be seen. But another Hull City player linked with so many clubs is Charlie Hughes. He's been linked with Coventry and Sheffield United. I would say Sheffield United are in dire need of someone like Charlie Hughes in their squad at this moment of time. Coventry, it would be nice for them to get someone like him in their squad for depth point of view, but Hull are holding firm. They do not want him to go. They've already lost a couple of key players in his position, so I think certainly keeping him on, I think, will be a good strategy for Hull City for this season. To talk about Stoke, they've been linked with Lamine Cisse from Bastia in Ligue 2. He has got, I think it was 14 goal contributions last season in Ligue 2, so a decent player who can get involved in those attacking positions. I've been told he's been quite versatile, so he can play in an attacking midfielder, he can play out wide, and he can play as a standalone striker as well. So versatile strikers, I think, is going to be something very welcome to Mark Robins, and I think for the fact that Stoke were a team really struggling for goals, I'm so pleased that Stoke's strategy looks like that they are trying to stack their forward line with as much quality as possible to improve that stat. So Stoke, I think, are making the right calls at this moment. Southampton, of course, with the 3 relegated teams, I think this is going to be the scariest period of their season because they've done well to keep the players they've already kept, but with still 3 weeks left of speculation and bidding, who knows what their squads could look like by the time the 1st of September hits. Matheus Fernandes is a big player. Absolutely crucial. He's been valued at over £12 million, and West Ham are interested in getting someone like him in. And I do think Graham Potter should be going for a approach where he's trying to trim down the average age of the squad. And someone like Fernandes, who's I think 21, would be a really good signing for that position and would link in with the strategy that Potter is going for as well. Southampton, though, I don't think are going to make it easy. He actually did feature for Southampton against Wrexham as well. It's just giving me flashbacks to when Ward-Prowse was absolutely unplayable for one game for Southampton against Sheffield Wednesday, and then lo and behold West Ham bid for him and he was never to be seen again in the Championship. I'm hoping that maybe we get a little bit more for one game for Matheus Fernandes, but well, maybe I wouldn't mind if he wasn't there against Ipswich, but for other games of the season I wouldn't mind for Matheus Fernandes being there. But West Ham certainly doing their business a little bit late, but I think it is certainly an interesting approach that they're doing. Middlesbrough are interested with another Southampton player, this time Charlie Taylor. Now this one's interesting because we do know Charlie Taylor, who's done all right for Burnley, and he's done as good as he could probably do for Southampton realistically. He was not included in the squad for Will Steele's squad for Southampton against Wrexham. So it does sound to me, whether if he's injured or not, he is starting to fall out of favour. Middlesbrough, I think, will be beneficial to get someone like Charlie Taylor in, someone with a load of experience, and certainly depth in that area of the pitch, I think, would not go unnoticed as well. And I could see him functioning quite well in the Rob Edwards system, actually. So I think this one will be a good move for Middlesbrough if they can get him in. Now, we're going to talk about Tani Onuwasei. I think that's how you say it, but it is an MLS player. So we've actually seen a couple of transfers with players from the MLS. Now, he is from Minnesota United, who I think they're doing okay in their respective league there. It's Preston and Swansea who are linked with him. Now, I've mentioned this already. Swansea need a forward. So maybe someone like Swansea, they should be trying to outbid Preston for it. Preston themselves, I think, also need a striker. Because apart from Osmajic, we don't know how many games he's going to play. They've really only got Michael Smith as like a quality player in that position who can't really offer too much from open play, but he'll be good in set-piece situations. Onuwasei, I think, will be a youthful player who can actually add loads of energy in that forward line. And both Preston and Swansea will benefit of it. So whichever one of them gets it, it will solve, I think, their biggest issue going into this season. Now, what I think is quite interesting about that is that they've already rejected a bid, Minnesota, of $4 million, and I think that was from a La Liga club as well. So considering that Preston don't really spend extortionate fees, I could see Swansea maybe being the favourites of getting him in, but that is still quite a hefty fee for a striker which hasn't really had championship experience at all, so we're going to be very careful about that, I'd say. One of the last rumours is going to be talking about Ipswich. So Leif Davis in the past couple of days has been linked with Nottingham Forest. I don't think there's been like any outgoings in that position. I think, to me, with European football coming up for Forest, I think they want to improve their depth in that squad. And to me, Leif Davis, whilst Nottingham Forest might sound great to him, it will give him another opportunity at Premier League football, I don't think he's going to be starting. And I think that's going to be an issue. I think at least with Ipswich, he'll be starting most games. So I probably would say that he should stick around with Ipswich. But have I got rose-tinted glasses on about that? Potentially. But I would say he'd function better playing for Ipswich at the moment, where he almost has a guaranteed place every single game week. But if the worst case scenario happens, and it does happen, Ipswich are potentially thinking of a replacement in Dennis Cherkin of Sunderland. Now, his situation is interesting because he's got 1 year left in his contract, but there's been 2 ingoings at his position, including the likes of Masuaku, who I think could be featured quite heavily in that area of the pitch. So Cherkin could be in a position where the competition in his role is too high, and actually maybe facing or playing for someone in the Championship will mean that he can keep his fitness up, and actually he could prove a point to try and play as the fullback in that area in the future. So it's some very interesting developments going on there. And the last rumour is on a Manchester United youth player in Toby Collier. He has had, I think, 6 Premier League appearances, and I think 4 Europa League games he featured in as well. Sheffield Wednesday want to try and get him on loan. Now, the embargo regarding the players' wages not being paid on time has been lifted. There's still a restriction on not paying any fees until 2027, but it does mean free transfers and loans can still be applicable. And when you are restricted to that, you do have to be quite creative to who you go for. Now, it does feel to me that Hull are also interested on getting Toby Collier in. So it's going to be a tough one, but I could see the forward being a decent signing. I mean, it will be game-changing for Sheffield Wednesday if they can get an in-going in at this stage, because we're really still waiting for a true in-going going into Sheffield Wednesday. And for Hull's point of view, I think they've got quite a fair few attacking options already, but Collier will offer something different, offer some good, strong competition too. So I could see it benefiting both clubs. Okay, guys, so that was all the rumours that I found. So that will wrap it up for Transfer Tuesday. If you guys enjoyed, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button too, and please share the channel too. All those things really are free to do. It takes 2 seconds to do, and it really does help. Coming up next on the channel, we're going to see this old dingus try and predict the Premier League table. That's not going to go down very well, I think. Very soon, you're going to see me predict week 2 of the championship. So exciting times again. And I'll very soon be grading the away kits and the third kits of the championship as well. So stay tuned since there's still more stuff. And of course, there'll be more Transfer Tuesdays to come too. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for joining this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.